Okay, so for me, I was supposed to fast this upcoming week, based on what Pastor said about if you have a child that's struggling to go and fast. And so, like he said, my fast started off with struggling with God talking to him and wrestling about what I was supposed to do for my fast. And so, in the beginning of the fast, he was telling me to just do water. And so I'm like, I just got to drink water. And it was this whole wrestling with that idea because I'm like, I can't just do water. I need something. And he's like, just trust me, just do water. And I was like, I don't know if I can do this. And it was just this whole back and forth thing that we went through. And I was like, okay, well, why would I have to do water? And it's like, okay, he's trying to stretch me. And I guess the traditional fast would just cutting out food or certain foods. I can do that pretty easy, and I wasn't getting stretched doing that. So he was testing me to go beyond what I felt I can do. And so for the first 4 days, it was just water. And then I was like, did I really hear him correctly? Was it just water? And I was having doubts. And then I went to Bible study, and on Monday and Tuesday, Bible study with BSF, and then Tuesday here. And Pastor Margot had said something about Jesus is not a cheater. Everything that we can do on earth, Jesus did. And so something to that degree. I probably butchered the way she said it, but it was something, that's how I took it in. I was like, okay, so Jesus did what exactly I'm doing now so I can get through it. I mean, granted, I'm not like Jesus or anything, but, trying to think of something like in the mindset to get me through it. And then in BSF, they said, let me pull up what it said. It said, in mercy, God often takes his people into situations where trusting him is their only option. Calamity and desperation often soften our hearts towards God, while overwhelming situations often lead us to him. God is equally available and faithful on days when we are less aware of his neediness. God orchestrates our lives to teach us to depend on him. Refusing God's gracious calls to faith brings serious consequences. So I was like, okay, let me just be obedient and just trust the process. So as we get to day 4, he said, I want you to go deeper. I'm like, what do you mean go deeper? How can I go deeper than this? He said, no more water. And I was like, oh, I can't do that. No, there's no way possible I can do it with no water. And he said, trust me. So I said, okay. And I started the process. And I am a medical assistant, so I went to medical school. And medically speaking, after 3 days of no water, you're supposed to die. And so this is now my 3rd day, and I'm still standing here. So, there was many times where I was like, I don't know if I can make it through it, God. And I had to keep relying on him and keep praying for strength. And I would get a surge of energy every time I prayed. And then I was like, okay, God, I see you're moving. You're with me through this whole journey, and you haven't left me. And so just going through that process has been extremely hard, just trying to do it for the right reasons and not the wrong reasons. And I know it initially started for my kid struggling, but even during that time, I'm like, okay, he's going to do something. My son's going to start speaking well and this and that and all these things. I guess I was projecting what I thought God was going to do, and he didn't do that. Like my son situation got kind of worse as the week went on. I was like, but God, you told me to fast because you were going to help my son in his struggling. And I was like, I don't understand. So why am I fasting? I don't get it. And it wasn't making sense. And it was until I got to day 6 where it was, sometimes prayer doesn't change the person that you're praying for. Sometimes it changes you. And so I had to accept that as I'm doing this for me to draw closer to God. And even on that 6th day, I was supposed to go, I want to go serve, to go give food to the homeless with the Fishers of Men with Brother Rafa. And like I said, every time I felt weak, I would just pray. But as we were wrapping up our giving, I kept praying and I wasn't receiving strength, and I just felt like my kidneys were going out. I'm like, oh God, my organs are starting to fail. I'm about to go. And as I was getting ready to leave to go to my car, somebody stopped me and said, can we pray for him? Because a few people found out that I was going through this fast, and then they laid hands on me and they prayed, and then I felt the surge of energy. And I was like, look at God. God is still with me despite that, because I guess I was too prideful to ask for help during that time, but because I spoke up and said something earlier, they were able to give me the strength to get home. And it's just been a crazy journey just going through this week with just trying to rely on his strength and not my own, because I think when I woke up this morning, I even had, it was a vision or a dream that he even gave me, and it showed him, I seen his presence, and I was like, okay, he's still with me. And I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna die, because I was trying to get ready. I'm like, okay, Lord, you gave me a prophecy 3 years ago, and it said in the next 3 to 6 years, you have a specific purpose that I've called you to do. And I'm like, is this my third year? Because this is exactly the third year. I'm like, is it my time? Is my time is up? Am I going to go now? And I was trying to be at peace with, okay, if he takes me, it's his will, and you know he's going to take care of my wife and kids, and just be okay with that. But honestly, I didn't want to go. But I'm like, Lord, it's whatever you want. Let me just be obedient to whatever it is that you have for me. So going through this whole process, it just taught me to be more reliant on him, and he has not forsaken us or left us with whatever we're going through. I think I'm going to try to end it there because I don't know how to continue this. So, yeah.
All right, we thank God. Go ahead, Rhonda. One of the things he said that I want you guys to take note of, and in case you don't know, that God is teaching us even in the midst of these testimonies. So if you need to take notes, take notes. But one of the things you have to understand is that many times God will bait us. And so he will put and allow something or someone to be heavy on your heart enough that will be the thing that pulls you into prayer. But it is not the reason he's called you into prayer. And sometimes he calls us into that place because he wants to do something in you and I. And he knows unless he puts that bait there, you and I ain't going. And so sometimes it might be your kids, it might be your spouse, it might be money, it might be things that will push you to say, I got to seek God, only for you to get in that closet of prayer. And God don't even fool with what you went in there for. But watch this. He don't touch what you went in there for, but he touches you. And so we have to thank God for those.